Now it's time for tip-episodes with quick tips you should know. Techniques you can implement into your workflow right here on A Tale, oh yeah, A Tale of Two Hygienists.
Welcome everyone into this week's tip episode. I'm so excited. I'm joined today by Shannon. And the thing that we're going to talk about today is normally for tip episodes, we have a tip, but I feel like the bigger umbrella, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, that we're going to talk about is like burnout, but also you have a lot of tips, a lot of resources for our audience. So first of all, thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. I'm really excited to be here.
This is going to be great. And thank you, by the way, for reaching out, because this is the collaboration is like one of the fun things I love to do. Like our profession needs people like you collaborating with everyone else and reaching out. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that, because I'm an introvert by nature. So it really took a lot of courage for me to reach out, even though it was through email. But I just kind of stumbled upon your podcast. I've recently gotten into podcasts. I had tried listening to podcasts a couple years ago, and it just didn't work for me at the time. And then I'd say about maybe 5-6 months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of listening to the same music in the car. I'm going to start listening to podcasts. So, and once you go down that rabbit hole, I think like you kind of, it's not like when you're on Amazon, it's like things you might like this. So once you start listening to one podcast, it's like, oh, you might like this one. And then you kind of search for specific topics. And that's how I came across yours. And I really enjoy yours because you really discuss a whole variety of subjects. So.
Well, I mean, we have the best guests, right? That's the thing that makes all of this work, is you have these professionals who are willing, again, like yourself, who are willing to take a time. What is it, 3:00 on a Friday, my time? Like other people are like, hey, we have plans this weekend, but the people like you, all the guests that we have on are just willing to, give us the time, let us learn at their feet. And it's just such an amazing like medium. But you're right, though. The algorithm kind of gets you, like with the whole podcasting thing, Amazon, whatever, where it's like, hey, you might be interested in this. You might be interested in that. I got to ask you, though, was there something that changed for you, whether it was like a place of employment or your space in life, that you're like, you know what, I need something that's going to grab my attention more, of why you turned to podcasting?
I was in a space where I was just not satisfied. I was just mentally and spiritually and even physically just fatigued. And I just workbooks, and I tried different planners and journals, and it just didn't work for what I needed it to be. And I can be pretty picky about that kind of stuff. So, and I have one of my best friends, she listens to podcasts all the time. And like I said, I tried it and a couple years ago, and it just didn't work. And so this time it really helps me focus on certain subjects that I need at that time. So there were times when I needed to listen to podcasts on motivation, self-determination, how to deal with anxiety, and how to pivot or control your emotions at that time. So there's just a lot of wealth, like a lot of knowledge on podcasts that you can receive. And, you have 30 minutes in the car or maybe more, and why not utilize that time?
Absolutely. Let's get to know you a little bit more, because I want to talk about let's circle back to the workbook thing in a little bit, but like our audience doesn't know you. So like, where are you coming from? How long have you been practicing? Like, what is your passion? Who are you?
Yes. So I live in Pennsylvania in the Lancaster area, and I have been a hygienist for 23 years full time. And recently, the past 2 years, I started working at a perio office part-time, and I still work part-time in a general office 4 days a week total. And my entire career, I've worked full-time. And my passion really comes from helping individuals realize that there is a systemic link and issue between their general health and their oral health. And working in perio, I love it. I absolutely love it. I know it's not for everyone. It's
not for everybody.
It is a hard job. It is difficult. But you get to see like that huge transformation that you don't really get to see in the general practice sometimes. So that's been really gratifying for me recently. Yeah.
How did you take this, clinical hygienist for all of these years, and pivot into a space where you say you're an introvert. I'm not getting that right now, but you created a workbook, you created a manual, I guess, for people to do more stuff. You have to be extroverted to do that. You have to be creative to do that. You have all these other things that are not like perio minded to do that. Where did that come from?
Yeah. So I've always been crafty, but I am a true introvert. Like, it takes a lot of energy for me to engage with my patients, even the patients that I've had for years. And I have such a great relationship with them. I literally come home and I feel like I've been an actress all day. Like, you're happy and engaging and you're conversational. And so there was a time when my husband would be like, "Are you okay? Like, did I do something wrong?" And I'm like, "No, it's just, I've been talking for 10 hours straight and I really need silence."
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go over here and decompress. And I read a lot. And so I needed an outlet. And I feel like this is so cliche, but like since 2020, when COVID happened, I developed a lot of anxiety and just, I don't know, I just was kind of lost and I wasn't really happy with my life, even though I have like, you know, everything that you could really want, like compared to a lot of people that are struggling. But I was just burnout. It was complete burnout and I was just really fatigued. And I was like, how do I get out of this rut? And so I just kept reading articles on self-care. And I really tried to understand my personality and how I respond to certain intense situations and how do I change my mindset? Because that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so with my creative background, I'm familiar with different programs like Photoshop and Canva and stuff like that. And I really wanted to create a workbook for dental hygienists and dental assistants that really addresses the fatigue and the burnout that we're experiencing. And I think even more so since 2020, there's just been, a mass exodus of people retiring or changing careers. And in the Facebook groups, there's just always comments, even from young hygienists, like recent graduates of, is it always this hard? Is it always stressful?
Yeah.
So I really wanted an outlet for myself. So that's how it really started. I needed an outlet for myself and I wasn't finding what I needed. So I created it. And then I was, in these Facebook groups for dental hygiene. And for the listeners, if you're not already in the hygiene Facebook groups, I highly recommend that. It's different from talking with your coworker.
Mm-hmm.
You can discuss, certain situations, get feedback, like how would I respond to this situation? How do I ask for a raise? Just like simple things like that, or more intense situations. So I really wanted to create a workbook that would help struggling hygienists and assistants and how to navigate their emotions. So that's how it really started.
Can I say one of the reasons you gave me like a little preview of your workbook. One of the reasons why I had to have you on is because, I'm in those same groups that you're in. I see the I'm burnt out, but the vibe that I get from a lot of people is negativity. It's a lot of giving up. It's a lot of, I don't know. I just feel like there's like a lot of negative space in this area. And it's not from like the people that are like, you guys just don't know how to work. It's not that comment. It's it's that I want to quit the profession. And that's not really the answer, I don't think, to burnout, right? But what you bring to it is you bring a lot of humor. Like, you're witty. I don't know if you know this about yourself being an introvert, but you're a very witty writer. And I think that that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Do you mind just going through a couple of the points of like what you have as far as resources in the workbook?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a cheat sheet on burnout symptoms. So it kind of describes like different things that you would experience if you're true burnout, just not fed up with the current job situation, but true burnout. So there's a cheat sheet. And then there's 14 different pages of workbook prompts, and it kind of guides you. So there's plenty of guidance in the workbook. Sometimes when I first started looking at different workbooks, they're either too simplistic or they were very overwhelming because there were just pages and pages of exercises and workbooks. And when you work 10-hour days, it's not something that you really want to do. So I'm glad that you said that it came across as being funny and witty, because I have a very dry sense of humor. And so I'm glad that came across on the page. Yeah. But I wanted to be really engaging for hygienists and assistants to like look at it and to capture their attention and not be bored with it. So there's plenty of guidance, like where do I start? how do I start? If I really don't feel like doing this, what do I do? So I really do that. So there's 14 pages of thought-provoking questions. There's an anti-anxiety exercise that's scientifically backed. I have a Meet the Experts page where I spotlight 3 seasoned professionals. And then I have over 8 hours of motivational Spotify playlist. So when you're in the car or you have downtime, you can listen to different people.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. I have pain relief secrets. So, I struggle with a lot of neck pain, and I've found some really simple products and devices that have really helped me navigate that pain. So I do have a page on that. And interestingly, I recently just posted a poll in the hygiene Facebook group. And I said, what is your number one reason if you chose to leave hygiene? And it was pain, physical pain, back pain, neck pain, carpal tunnel. So it's a huge issue with our profession, obviously. So I do have secrets on that. And then I have self-discovery book recommendations. This past year, I have just been really reading a lot on how to just understanding myself and my personality. And I really think that it does help when you understand when you're in a certain situation, what's your first response, but how should you really respond?
Yeah, that's clever.
And then journaling, digital journaling, I've really gotten into that because it really helps to decompress your emotions. So we work with a lot of type A patients. We work with a lot of type A coworkers. And so when you come home, you might have a lot of that negativity. And if you're an introvert or an empath like myself, you consume that. And so you need an outlet. And journaling has really helped me because gratitude, especially journaling, I mean, you can find gratitude in every little thing, whether it's like, I'm able to afford, groceries. I can drive to work. I have a great relationship with my spouse. So there's always something to be thankful for. And I think that we forget that because we're so focused on the negativity. Like you said, in the Facebook groups, there's a lot of negativity. So
you just have to create the space for it though, right? That's the hard part is I think Dr. Gupta was just talking this last weekend. A very similar thing is like, look, you're going to journal all these gratitude points and you're going to run through your first 8 to 15 pretty easily. But by that second week or third week, like you're going to start to have to like really sit down with your thoughts and think of the little things. And then when you do that, that's when you really can appreciate the exercise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's exercise for the brain, and our brain gets comfortable. So you have to retrain the brain. It's just retraining your mind. Yeah.
Man, this is such a great resource for hygienists. And I love it for the listeners out there. Like this is a hygienist trying to support other hygienists as well. So you should support her as well. Where can they find the workbook? What are you doing with it? And how can they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I started an Etsy store, and the Etsy store is called Lodestar by Shannon, and it's LODESTAR. Lodestar is a guiding star. So I want like my journals and planners to be a true guide for women and others who are just living a crazy busy life in this chaotic world. So it's Lodestar by Shannon in Etsy. And the workbook itself, it's digital right now. It's called The Silent Struggle, Unmasking Burnout in Dentistry. So it's on there. And right now I do have it on sale. No coupon code is needed. It's already on sale. And I feel like it's a product that can be reused. So even once you complete it, you can just re-download it and you can start all over again, because that's really what it is. It's really about consistency. You can't just do it once and expect results. You have to be consistent. So,
yeah, I love it. Well, look, all the best to you. I'd love to have you on for another episode sometime. I've really enjoyed this conversation so far. So best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
A tale of two hygienists.